What's up, guys? Welcome to the latest episode of Out of the Shadows. This one is about changing your mindset. Now, a very basic belief that I had initially was I just want things to be easy. I would think that all the time. I'd be like, man, why can't things just be easy? Why do I have to try so hard to do everything? Why there's all this depression and this social anxiety? And I went from that thought to now I very often will have the thought that I love a challenge. And that could be in regards to many things. But right now, I'm in the process of starting an apprenticeship as a dog trainer, and I'm very anxious to prove myself. So, how did I shift so dramatically from one negative belief to a much more positive and empowering one? Now, first off, here's the thing mindset, improving your mindset, taking on a more successful mindset, just about anyone and everyone is trying to do this who's actually aspiring towards leading a fulfilling life. Now, the thing of it is, this is very hard. It's very necessary, but it's very hard. So, why is it so hard? Now, I can tell you this there's no such thing as here's 5 easy steps to creating the successful mindset. If you think that you're going to do this in a week, it 100% is not going to happen. The way it works is it's just like if someone's, working out or has, let's say, initially the goal of, I'm going to lose 10 pounds and I'm going to put on 5 pounds of lean muscle. If they think that changing their diet and hitting the gym hard for a week or two is going to do it, no way, they'll give up. What it will take is weeks of consistent effort, months likely, and if they want to maintain or go further, especially, and maintain those gains, it's literally a lifestyle change. Now, that sounds very cliche, and we hear this a lot, but it's true. I think any lasting change essentially is you're changing your lifestyle, you're changing something very basic about you. That's the only way to do it. There's no quick fix, and then, oh, well, we just get back to normal and we don't do anything hard anymore. It's that simple. So, in my personal experience, I was starting from a very defeated mindset. I was starting from a place of I was very depressed, and I had the thought, I'm like, well, I have these clinically diagnosed mental illnesses, mental health issues, whatever you want to call them, and I'm not seeing any change. I'm trying all this stuff, and I'm pretty much stuck. Like, I don't know how I can possibly get better. So, learning to shift from that, how did I do that? Now, really, a lot of it for me actually happened by accident. I had gotten really into Bruce Lee, and let me preface this conversation by saying everyone's source of inspiration is going to be different. It could be a person, it could be an ideology or a philosophy or a religion, it could be, Buddhism, Christianity, Judaism, whatever it is, whatever works for you, go with something that resonates for you. Obviously, goes without saying. So I'd gotten really into Bruce Lee, and I loved what he was preaching and these things that he was saying. Now, if you follow me on Instagram especially, you've probably heard me say some of these quotes, but things like absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, add what is essentially your own. Man is constantly growing, and when he is bound by a set pattern of thinking or a way of doing things, that's when he stops growing. To me, martial arts means honestly expressing yourself. To express oneself honestly, not lying to oneself, is very hard to do. I love those quotes. I think they're great. They mean a lot to me. I live by them still. So initially, what I had started doing was I started writing some of these quotes down, and I put them up on the wall. I'm pointing that way because it's where they are, behind my laptop. And they're still there 6 years later. Now, it's funny because initially, I think we've all heard things like this, like, oh, surround yourself with positive quotes and that sort of thing. And I always thought, I'm like, well, that's stupid. Why is gluing something to my wall going to change the way I think and ultimately feel about myself? That's ridiculous. But for me, again, it goes back to the fact that these things really resonated with me. I thought that they were philosophies and ideas worth aspiring towards, worth being reminded of. So initially I put them up with kind of the thought of, well, it's not going to hurt me, so why not? And again, though, this comes back to, like I said before, that constant and conscious effort. constantly seeing it. So even without, if I'm not like studying it per se, I'm seeing it all the time and it's getting deeper and deeper into my mind. Now, conversely, in terms of putting things up on the wall, that sort of thing, some people are big on mantras. They will write down mantras, put them up, they will say them to themselves, things like, every day in every way I'm getting better and better. And if that works for you, that's awesome. Absolutely do it. My ways are not going to be your ways. What works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. I think it's like anything else, and like the quote I just mentioned, absorb what is useful, discard what is useless. That goes for my content as well. Anyway, for me personally, I didn't find mantras to be effective at all. I say something like that to myself, like, oh, I'm constantly getting better. And I would automatically think, well, you're lying. No, you're not. And it was a very mechanical exercise, and there was no emotional gravity to it. It didn't change anything. So again, for me, didn't really work. Now, getting back to what did work for me with creating, a new mindset, I started to search out anything I could find on Bruce Lee, interviews, videos, books, whatever. And with anything, the more you start studying someone, or obviously with a philosophy especially, but if you're studying a specific person, their philosophies are going to come through that content. It's going to be underlying at all times. Again, like I said, continuously feeding yourself these things. It's this constant effort. You're slowly changing the mindset. And the last step for me was introspection. I had to start thinking about my own beliefs and reasoning out why some of them weren't necessarily true and weren't useful. A very basic one I can talk about is the belief I would have that I'm like, well, you're scared, so you're a coward. And in having that thought, I would defeat myself and be like, well, I just don't have it. I'm too afraid. Obviously, I can't do this. And then I had to stop and think, all right, so anyone who's ever done anything great or brave was never scared. Never. Obviously, that's not true. For the most part, anyone who achieves something big or great or noteworthy or something that we talk about for years and years, they were typically scared, more than likely terrified, and did it anyway. So now this also helps in the sense of, all right, well, I can be scared and still be a rational human being. I'm not there's not something wrong with me. I'm not defective or weak. And it's also logical then that you can make yourself do things when you're afraid. Now, for me, like I say, logic is the starting point with so many things. If I can sit there and figure out logically why a belief makes sense, why it's realistic to have that belief, that's the beginning. Then I can go from there and start to take it on a deeper level, on an emotional level, and replace whatever negative belief I had, and now replace it with this more empowering, positive, and useful belief. So, all right, guys, I hope that was helpful. Please like, share, and subscribe. As always, I'm going to link my videos on beliefs. I know I do this in a lot of my videos, but to me, that's really a core place that you have to start, is sorting out your beliefs, especially about yourself. That's where real change took place for me. So I'm going to link that below. Please follow me on Instagram at Out of the Shadows Corvo. And until later, my friends, be well.